Welcome to the regularly scheduled public meeting of January 17th, 2023 of the Township of Washington Township Council. Adequate notice of the meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by the Township Clerk to at least 2 newspapers in January, and this meeting has been posted on the Township Bulletin Board, electronic message board, WCTV, and on the Township website. Please notify the municipal clerk for any disability requirements necessary for attendance at mayor and council meetings. The fire exits are located through the double doors to your right and through the door on your left. Please silence all cell phones. Salute to the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Casio,
Here.
Councilwoman Feeney,
Here.
Councilman Sears,
Here.
Councilwoman Velez,
Here.
Council President Morgan.
Here. Let the record reflect also in attendance Mayor Calamari, Township Administrator DeCarlo, Township Attorney Poller, and Township Clerk Wachowski. New community alert system. Receive community information instantly. Sign up at nixle.com. Nixle replaces SwiftReach. The Green Team and the Middle School Environmental Club have teamed up to collect old sneakers and shoes for a project called Souls for Souls. This project will generate funds for the Environmental Club. If you would like to donate, boxes are located at Town Hall and the Township Library. The Green Team has partnered with the Township Library to start a Trex recycling program. This program will allow residents to drop off plastic bags in a bin for recycling. The bags will be weighed monthly. Once the goal is reached, Trex will donate a park bench or a table to the township. The program begins February 1st, and the bins will be located at the Township Library. Kindergarten registration for 2023-2024 has begun. A child residing in the township who will be 5 years old on or before October 1st, 2023, is eligible to enter kindergarten in September 2023. Please visit our website for further information. 2023 pet license renewals have been mailed out. To avoid a late fee, please register your pet by January 31st. If your pet needs an updated rabies vaccine, please visit our website for a listing of free rabies clinics. Please note, the elevator at Town Hall is currently out of order. Quarter 1 taxes are due February 1st. Tax office will be open on the last day of the grace period, which is February 10th, until 6 p.m. Washington Township Volunteer Ambulance Corps is looking for volunteers. If you can volunteer, please call WTVAC headquarters at 201-664-3784. Leave a message, and either President Bob Ehlers or Captain Trevor Landu will get back to you. Our next council meeting will be held on Monday, February 6th at 7:30 p.m. Okay, we have a recognition.
Actually, Council President, I had a question about approval of minutes.
Okay.
I was wondering, I know I was looking on the website, I think we're like,
Beyond,
yeah.
they will be coming because time now will be freed up.
Okay, do you need some support or something, or?
I just need time with no interruptions.
Okay.
Go home.
I know, if you need some help though, because I know we were doing really good,
Yes,
so.
yes.
Okay, do we have recognitions?
Yes, we do. Council President, I'd like you to join us.
Of course.
And I'd like to invite the officers up here because they also have 20 years in. So let's make this kind of a nice thing for everyone who's got 20 years in.
Oh, I got
Or
20
more.
years in.
You don't have.
20 plus 15.
I have this distinct honor and pleasure of talking about my good friend Bernadette here, who has served many mayors, administrators, but most importantly, the residents of the town for over 20 years. Anyone who's dealt with her knows what a pleasure she was to deal with. would go out of her way immensely to help with any situation. She was invaluable to me when I became mayor, showing me the ropes as to how to get things done. And, you know how much I love you for that, Bernadette. So, yeah. And so, the town will miss you for many different aspects. But we wish you well in your retirement. And we have a plaque for you. Oh, okay, sure. Yes, thanks. The plaque reads, Township of Washington proudly presents this service award with sincere appreciation and recognition to Bernadette Pomcalia, Administrative Assistant, with gratitude for your devotion and support for over 20 years of outstanding and loyal service to many mayors, administrators, and the citizens of the township. You served your position proudly, honestly, faithfully, and always with a smile. Congratulations on a job well done, and best wishes for your retirement. Presented on behalf of the residents by the mayor and council, dated January 17th, 2023.
Oh, thank you so much.
And especially Daisy Bella's on all the time, you guys.
Thank you.
God bless you all. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bernie.
Congratulations.
Much appreciated. Thank you for joining us tonight.
It was a pleasure.
Pete, Stacy, and you guys stay down there. And just, we have presentations. Well, it's over there. Thank you. Today, we have a couple of presentations. The Green Team is starting off this year with a health and welfare year. We're supporting the mayor's health community. So I'd like to invite the police up. The Green Team is presenting the police department with 7 of the new choke relief equipment that is now presented in the community. All 7 of the police units will have these units, and we're also dedicating 2 to the ambulance corps. So this is the latest and greatest type of equipment that's out there for when people are choking. It's like a plunger type. It's brand new. I've seen it down in Wildwood. It's great. So we are having Chief Skinner and the captain. I'd like to donate these to the police department, and we're going to donate them to the ambulance Friday night. They have their dinner. So hope you never got to use them. You want to take them? Okay. Yeah, it's okay, please. Come on. Thank you, guys.
I just want to say thank you to Councilman Tom Sears, the mayor, and the whole council. These are going a long way to help us save people's lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. And the second recognition tonight is from the state. We have received the gold standard for street safety throughout Washington Township. We're good until 2024. And I have to really reach out to the Green Team, Rick Starnes, Patty Chevelle, Lorianne Robbins. They're the ones that made the mapping for the bicycle routes. I also have to reach out to the chief, Sergeant Glock. They supported us doing multiple tasks throughout the town. And I just want to say thanks for the mayor for giving us support. He was also on the Green Team during this time. So at this time, I would like to present Council President Morgan and Mayor Calamari for the 2022 to 2024 Safe Street Gold Award, which is the highest the state can give out. Thank you.
I think this actually goes to Mr. Sears, actually, for your hard work.
We'll post it upstairs.
It's always a shared effort, so thank you. Yeah.
So they did a great job, the green team, the police, the ambulance, the fire, DPW. I mean, they all put a lot into it for us to achieve this. It was like 28 pages and maybe 17 different types of requests that we had to meet. We got the award. So thank you very much.
Next time to you and the team.
You're welcome. Thank you, man. Thank you, Council President.
Good job, Tom. Yes? Thank you. I'll pass it down.
Now I get my bicycle out. Go places now.
Now we gotta tune up our bikes, huh?
Yeah.
Very nice, Tom.
Thank you.
Good job, Tom. Council President, may I just say one thing?
Of course.
To Bernadette. So you thanked me, but honestly, I have to thank you. You were amazing. When I first came into the position of director, I started from scratch and you were my guidance from day one. So thank you so much for always being so open to help me and always with a smile. So I really appreciate everything that you did for me and for public affairs and the community as a whole. Thank you, Bernadette.
Okay, and now we have some appointments.
Yes, thank you again. To the council president and the council of the Township of Washington regarding appointments to the Recreation Advisory Board. Please be advised that I am appointing the following citizens for the position set forth below. Recreation Advisory Board, all of their terms end December 31st, 2026. The names are George Kuzma, Joe Lavanzola, and Kelly Rydell.
Okay. Are they here?
Oh, you want me to do the next one also, the municipal prosecutor?
I'm sorry, are any of them here to do the oath of office, or are they going to make an appointment? No one's here. Okay. Okay, yep, you can do that.
Okay, thank you. Please be advised that I am respectfully submitting the following citizen for the position set forth below, subject to your advice and consent, for the alternate municipal prosecutor, Carrie Lalore, her term expiring December 31st, 2023.
Resolution number 23-106, acknowledgement of appointment of alternate municipal prosecutor Carrie Lalore. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
So roll call, please.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney.
Yes.
Councilwoman Morgan. Yep, take that back. Sorry. Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes?
Council President Morgan.
Yes. And that person's not here either. Okay, appointments to fire department. Membership application from Salvatore A. Caporale for the Township of Washington Volunteer Fire Department. Motion to approve?
So, second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Membership application from Sean R. Lyon for the Township of Washington Volunteer Fire Department.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Membership of Nicholas Scherer for the Township of Washington Volunteer Fire Department.
So moved.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And are none of them, or is anyone here? No one's here.
No, I don't see him.
Okay. So they'll contact the clerk to administer the oath of office. Okay, general public comment. To participate in the general public comment portion of the meeting, please click on the link below to join the webinar. If by phone, *9 to raise hand, *6 to unmute. Each person wishing to address the council shall give his or her name and home address for the record, and we ask that only one person speak at a time with a 5-minute limit. Speakers are to direct all questions to the council president. All members of the public and council are expected to conduct themselves in a proper manner. Any derogatory, abusive, or threatening statements will not be permitted, and the council president will immediately rule such conduct out of order and terminate any further comments. Okay. Motion to open public comment?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Is there anyone online that would like to talk?
No hands up yet.
Okay. Anyone would like to come up? Come on up.
Good evening, everybody. Ryan Sinclair, 864 Ridgewood Boulevard East. I just want to make some comments from the Pascack Press, January 16th edition. And I'd like to address it to Councilwoman Morgan. In the letter, the first thing I see is don't buy scare tactics on 450. And then it's also mentioned that strong arms. And those two words really got me very upset because I've been coming to the meeting for 3.5 years on 450, and I think we've all been respectable. Our sign, we made up a sign that says stop overdevelopment. So I just wanted to ask Councilwoman Morgan what she meant by that. My second one was, why is this property any different than any other residential home being sold? Well, it's 3.2 acres. It's open land. It's the last piece of jewel in this town. And we've been fighting for it for 3.5 years. We don't know what's going to happen. I know you mentioned homes, but I think we have enough homes in Washington Township. If we could all put our heads together, I think we could come up with something really good with this piece of property. And that's all I'm asking, that we do that. And that'll be it. Thank you.
Thank you. You have 5 minutes, so if you wanted to dialogue, we could talk.
That's all right. Thank you.
Okay. So I will answer your question. By scare tactic and strong armed, what was meant by that was basically that I've been fielding a lot of phone calls, and not a lot, but phone calls. And then at the last council meeting, it was, I guess my commitment to recreation was questioned. What I ran on my last, when I was last running for council, I had talked about how I really wanted to improve the fields, and that was brought up in question. So I really felt very strongly about getting the message out to everybody in Township. I have never wavered on my commitment to recreation. In fact, I've grown the recreation program. We did just buy a huge piece of property at the swim club at the taxpayer's expense. We've done nothing with it yet. There's no solid plan. Everything's up in the air, and now we're looking to buy another piece of property. So before we go buying up properties, I'd like to have a solid plan. I am not, I have not seen anything come across the zoning board to say that there are going to be apartment buildings going up or any kind of overdevelopment, but yet the signs say stop overdevelopment. So my thought was, absolutely, as a town, if you don't want us to spend money, I get that. By all means, come to the meetings, let us know, don't buy it. But to come to the meetings to encourage us to buy it or to, be upset with us, like I've been, like the couple of phone calls that I've received were strong phone calls, strong opinions, said in a way like accusing that I am going to be responsible for the overdevelopment of Township. I don't know where the facts are coming from, that people are saying it's going to be overdeveloped. Like I said, there's nothing that came across the zoning that said we're going to put condos up and high density housing. Those are all the what ifs. What if someone buys it and erects this big, tall condo? But if we put the right people in the zoning, it's not going to get through zoning, right? We trust our professionals. That's what we say up here all the time. We have zoning board members who will not allow that to happen because it's not zoned for that. So if there is a single family or duplex that goes there, it's no different than the house that's there now, only aesthetically pleasing. It'll be beautiful, I'm sure. And that's my responsibility to the town. I have to look at what serves the town the best, the greater good of the town. And unfortunately, buying and spending more money on property we don't have a plan for, to me, does not resonate with the whole town. The rest of the town, it'd be nice to have a field extended there. I'm not sure there's enough of an impact to that field to warrant that spending. And that's my job as a council person, to be fiscally responsible. And that is exactly why I said scare tactic, because there's nothing on the table yet. We're being told don't overdevelop. And then strong-armed, coming to the meetings, putting up the signs, forcing us to buy instead of, to me, that's it's unfair to ask the rest of the town to buy something. So tell us not to buy it because it's everyone's money, but to ask us to buy it, and if we don't buy it, you're the one responsible for overdevelopment. So for that's what I meant by that. I do agree. You guys have been very respectful, there's always a handful of people who are going to come across very passionate, that comes a little stronger than others. So that's all I meant by that. Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to come up? Yep.
So Laura Sinclair, 864 Ridgewood Boulevard East. And Councilman Morgan, and I had the same question. I said I respectfully ask you to expand upon your comments in regards to the scare tax of the Pascack Press. And who is it being directed to? Was it directed to us residents? Was it? Because I'll finish reading and then I'll go to that.
Sure.
And then Mrs. Morgan, Councilman Morgan, in previous meetings, in regards to the DPW, you quoted, "We need to listen to the residents," and that's after everything subsided. And I could only hope that the sentiment was not limited to the chorus of the voices who spoke on that matter, and instead held that fully for all, including those in opposition to 450. So we're just looking for the same respect. They put up signs, they came to you, they told you how it was going to impact that. We're just asking the same. That's why I think that article in the paper, if it is directed to us, it really was a little disturbing. In previous years, it did not appear that you were opposed to the purchase, and I would be curious to know exactly what the reason is, other than the spend.
Sure.
I'd also like to ask for Mr. Sears, only because Mr. Sears, as I mentioned, he was in my yard. He, at the time, was absolutely opposed to development on that land. So I'd like to know what his opinion, why it has changed. And Councilman Morgan, in the article you asked, why is this property different than any other residential home in the town? 450 Pascack property is in fact quite different from any other single-family property in town. From a tax perspective, 450 pays 5 cents per square foot for their land, just land, not property. And the opposing neighbors, side and front, they pay an average of 50 cents, 49 and 51. My property, I pay 71 cents. I'm not saying I want my taxes appealed. I'm very comfortable with my taxes. I'm saying, but I'm paying 72 cents on my land, and 450 is paying 5 cents per square foot. I have data if you need that. In regards to the recreation, I think it would be a great value of the town purchasing the property, not the land, as they could use the land at the base for a parking lot. Currently, there is little to absolutely no parking in the field. The cars are all, whenever there's an event down there, they're all over. And I think it would be a much safer option for the families and the children. With this increase of land, the recreation could also have a concession stand for the various sporting events like many other towns have. I agree with Mrs. Morgan's statement that the town should not be strong-armed. At the same time, I do not see why the town would not take this opportunity to purchase this property to bring our town up to the same standards as our surrounding neighbors. Has the council ever considered utilizing the base of this land as a parking lot? This adding parking would benefit the residents for many years to come, not for today, because we don't want to spend X amount, a very, very small amount for the land, but that parking will absolutely benefit that field for years and generations to come. Hopefully my grandchildren and the children's after. And again, it's not like we're spending an enormous amount of money. If the town purchased the land, would they be able to subdivide the bottom portion of where the parking lot would be and apply for a grant for the balance of the premise for open space? If so, the grant should hopefully pay for the large portion of the property. I don't know if that's possible. In regards to personal value, the strip of land is a natural buffer for the residents when there are sporting events and summer concerts. To build homes adjacent to that would be decisive for the buyers' new homes, to have the lighting, glaring, as well as the light. It's right there. You're right on top of it. Most importantly, I am concerned with the drainage. The strip of land has a higher elevation than our property. The removal of 100+ trees coupled with the disparity in elevations would certainly cause concern from surrounding homes and Washington School. And this is true. My sister-in-law's neighbor cut down a single tree from her yard. After that, her property got water. A single tree. It scares me. And it says, and that's it. So I don't know how many different ways we could say it. I know that money is important. I understand that.
1 minute
And
left.
thank you very much for your time and consideration.
No problem. And I'll answer as well. Who was it directed to? It was directed to anybody who was saying that we were overdeveloping, or we can't speak from the seat, but anybody who is continuing the conversation, whoever it resonated with is who it was directed toward. If you're sitting there having conversations saying, oh, the township won't buy the property, They're going to let us be overdeveloped. Then that message was for you, whoever that person was, because that has not been, we are not buying, like if I was to vote, which by the way, we haven't voted, but I'm going to say it because you're here. If I was to vote not to purchase the property, it wouldn't be because I'm looking to overdevelop or because I'm short-sighted and I don't see that there's a potential for somebody to come and overdevelop. It's because we have a zoning board, and our zoning board protects us from places going up where they're not zoned to go up. That being said, so that's that one question. The other thing is how has it changed and what makes this different, or why your question was why a couple years ago you didn't think the flavor for me to purchase it, whatever. The difference is our climate has changed. Our financial world has changed. In 2020, I mean, we weren't even aware of what the impact was going to be as significant. We thought it was going to be 2 weeks. Schools were going to be shut down. We're going to go back to normal. But we have really severely been impacted. Maybe fortunate for you, maybe you're not as impacted as others, I don't know. But I do know that I have to look globally at the town. And we bought other properties in the meantime. This wasn't the only thing on our table. So that's number one. And then how is this property any different? It's, if another property on the corner in a prime location, comes up, are we going to look to buy that too? Because, oh my goodness, it could be overdeveloped, or maybe we could turn it into commuter parking. You can't speak from the seat. I'm sorry. So that's where my comments came from, and that's my thought process. And as far as cutting down one tree and causing all of the flooding, what do you think, how many trees do you think would come down? And this is just a rhetorical question. How many trees do you think would come down to make a parking lot? I mean, it'd be a lot more than two.
Half where the elevation is flat.
Okay, we can't, I gave you the opportunity. You used your 5 minutes, right? We can have a back and forth at the dais, but not from the seat. So is there anyone else that would like to come up? I believe I answered most of that. Come on up.
Okay, Mike Proto, 850 Boulevard East. So about 2.5 years ago, I was outside doing lawn work, and a gentleman approached me claiming to be my neighbor. And this is what he put in my mailbox: a proposal for a 2.5-story apartment building within feet of my property, my neighbor's property, as well as the school and the ball field, Memorial Field. Mm-hmm. Now, we can look around the state, other towns nearby, adjacent to us, that have had developments jammed in where they're not supposed to be. There are times when zoning boards authorize changes, variances that allow this kind of thing to happen. I mean, we have some things going on in town right now with the Seasons Town Center. Is the zoning board protecting the town from that? I think what we're asking you to do, we're not strong-arming anybody. We're here trying to persuade you as residents. And I'm sorry that we didn't have a conversation before all this. We were certainly open to having that instead of, seeing the Pascack press on our doorstep and being told we're guilty of scare tactics. Well, unless the town buys that property, there's a threat of this. Sorry to tell you. This threat remains. He can come back at any time. And what's going to happen when the town's affordable housing obligations, down the road a couple of years from now, when we have to build more? Is this where he's going to put it? Is this what he's going to come back with? How do we protect ourselves from this? Right here is how we protect it. It's to acquire the property and guarantee that there's no affordable housing jammed in there. Again, the school is going to be expanded soon. That was in the Pascack press within the last couple of weeks. We're not talking about just our self-interest. It's the interest of the entire town. This is the last remaining open space. We don't want the friction of a 2.5-story building, let alone homes being adjacent to that, where our kids go to school, where our kids play, where we have town day, et cetera, every year. We're asking you to step forward and protect our interests and the interests of the town.
Thank you. So there's not much more I can add that I didn't add to the Sinclairs, except to say that, at the end of the day, I have to look at the town globally. Sometimes those are decisions that are not going to be popular with a group of people directly adjacent to the area in question, and I have to be able to be okay with that. Can't come on back up quickly.
But again, I'm submitting to you that it's
still have
not
5
just
minutes,
for us, it is for the town.
I
This is-
understand that. I understand that.
This is Memorial Field and Washington Elementary.
It's not Memorial Field. It's 450 Pascack. It's not Memorial Field, and we need to separate that. It is a house that is up for sale, and this is where I'm
This
going
is
to
what
end
was
with this.
proposed, right adjacent to it.
But it
Are you
didn't go
comfortable
through.
with
It
this
didn't
being
go
there?
through. We have a zoning board for a reason. I
Okay,
mean, we
but-
put these people in
but
a position.
zoning boards are known to allow
So
things
why
to
do
go
we have
through
a
that-
zoning
that
board
don't-
then? Why not just do away
I
with
wish
it?
I wish I could place my trust completely in that
Well,
process, but I
I'm so
can't.
sorry, but that's going to be something that we have to have a zoning board, right? We trust that the people that are in this position are doing the right thing for us. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in that position.
No, I'm
There's a
sorry.
lot of
I
what
wish-
ifs, and
I
that's
wish I
exactly
could
what was
share
in the
that blind
article.
Faith, but I don't have it.
Okay, I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do to convince you. I know because there's that one person once said to me, a very smart person, NIMBY, not in my backyard. Got it. I understand any place that we choose or that's up in question. Obviously, you're going to have some self-interest. I understand you feel that it is for the greater good of the town. I don't see it that way. So
Anthony Udina, 876 Ridge Boulevard East. So he was talking about faith in the zoning board, and the zoning board, didn't they auto-approve something? Well, they didn't auto-approve it, but there was human error that caused something to auto-approve. Franklin Court, I want to say.
there's different zoning people in and I don't think that's correct, but it's a different zoning board right now, so I'm
There was
really not
something
sure.
auto-approved because.
There
of
was
human-
something
It
auto-approved.
was
He is
not, it's
correct.
not Franklin Court, it was.
So
Yeah.
basically,
Gordon
the
Place.
thread is
Gordon Place.
real. I got exactly what he's got.
It was planning board.
It went to the zoning board, it got pulled.
It was planning.
And
It wasn't zoning board.
what's that?
It wasn't the zoning board.
It was planning board.
Planning board?
Right.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It was a board that reviewed, but
Right.
something got auto-approved. And it was human error. I don't know who, but, that's just my point with boards and stuff. People make mistakes. Mistakes are made. I don't want this mistake made. You bring up, not my backyard. It just seems like every part of the town is raising signs, coming to the meetings, talking to you all about it. You got, and not just you got the north side of the town talking to the zoning board currently about the seasons, that project. The south side of the town about the DPW at Linwood. People from Paramus came too. You got 450 Pascack. You got Viviano's been happening for many years now. That's, those people were upset. Franklin Court, Gorga Place. I don't know about the west, the east side of town. Maybe something in the past has happened where people there were upset. I just think that, I'm not thinking because it's in my backyard, that's why I have to fight this. I mean, I go to the zoning board meetings for the seasons project. I feel bad for the people, and it's everybody in town has been hit with something, it seems, that has been similar to what we're feeling. So, that's basically what I want to say. And for 450, this town's been trying to acquire it for a very long time. I remember Mayor Sopwitz talking about it during her administration, and I believe during previous administration. So people, the town's been trying to buy it. It's not just us trying to force you to buy it now or the past 2-3 years. So that's basically it. I hope you can do something to preserve it. It's a single family residence. If it was kept that way, nobody would be talking about it. But when you threat something like this, not you,
No, I know.
when this gets
I know.
thrown to us, it's horrible. We want you guys to do something. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Pauline McGriniak. I'm at 856 Ridgewood Boulevard East. And I bought our property in March 14th, 1958. And we had people from Fairlawn because my husband came from Saddlebrook. And when he bought this property, the first thing he said to us, the property behind you is landlocked. So I can't understand why this is all going on. When somebody wants to build, all you have to do is say, no, you can't build, it's landlocked. And if Fairlawn had this information, of course, we should have it right here in our archives or somewhere in the files. And, you know, I worked over the school with children for 4 years and, you know, in the playground at lunchtime.
Mhm.
And I saw they didn't have that much space to have room for their equipment, you know, that they play with. And there was also, there's a creek there with water. And I had to watch them very carefully. Now, if they start cutting down trees, like Laura said, we're going to have a lot of water problems. Our homes will be flooded. The school will get flooded. Down the field will get flooded because there's a big drop going down. And then they want to build these homes that are sky high and long because you can't do it wide. And it's not a city, it's a town, a beautiful town. And we don't need these high risers. And besides, everything that's happening in the schools now with the children, to have somebody to build right there with these children, it's ludicrous to do that for the sake of the children. And you know, a couple of times I've seen a teacher come into the property with their class in the woods behind my house and taught them something, I guess, about the environment, whatever. And I said, boy, that's pretty cool, but wouldn't it be nice if all those old trees that are rotting was cut down and save the good trees and do something for these children? You know, this is a beautiful town, and I saw the dirt roads, saw cement coming in, you know, I mean, the macadam, the sewers coming in, and I saw it build up. The swim club was the greatest thing in the town ever, had such a good time. And now the library in the town is the best thing in this town. And the next thing to the library is the property behind my house with the trees. The beautiful trees, the colors, the birds, and it's great for the children. And another thing, why would they even build homes there with all things that are going on now with these schools and the children and the guns and everything else? It's ridiculous. It's just sickening to think of it. And I think if the town did do something with this property, I think it would be for the children, because those children are going to be the future of this Township of Washington. And I think that they should consider that, because they're going to be the future of our town here. And I thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
May I make a response?
Sure.
Thank you. I've listened to a lot of you. I'm sure there may be more who want to speak on the topic, but I just wanted to put this out there. I hope it's no secret I'm in favor of purchasing 450. I think it would be good for the town. I would not be in favor of any other parcel because it borders what should be our flagship field in town. So I think this is a unique piece of property. Even though there's a record of owner of the property, I am speculating that the developer who proposed that project is still in the wings somewhere. If I had to guess, it's only a guess, I don't want to start a big stir. They may be waiting till 2025 when our COA thing expires and look to do something. And I want to remind everyone, the Viviano property was part of a COA settlement 20 years ago. The Franklin Court property, part of a COA settlement 4 or 5 years ago. So it's not outside the realm of possibility that this project in 2025 would be approved as part of a COA court settlement that would not, the zoning board would not even have a chance to weigh in on it, just like those other two. And so that's why I think this is a unique piece of property, because it borders our field. I think it's a good investment today. I'm not suggesting we redo all of Memorial Field right now, but 10 years from now, that might be an option. But if we don't buy the property now, that option is gone forever. And so that's what has me concerned, is COA mostly, and the fact that it's right next to our flagship field. So thank you for the time.
So I just want to respond with, that is a scare tactic. And that is what I meant by scare tactic. I'm going to speculate, this could happen, that could happen. To me, that's meant to, that's what sets the rhetoric and the rumors setting off. So that's the scare tactic that I was referring to. Now, also, I wouldn't necessarily have a problem if 450 was the only the only spend that we were going to be spending in the short time that I've been on council. But we tried to buy 95 Linwood. We bought the swim club. We have to build the DPW. We're still paying for the firehouse. We're still adding on. There's still costs. And now we want to buy 450. I'm sorry, but the spend is way too much, too quick in the short time that I've been on. So, I'm not against improving the town, but I feel that we need to put the brakes on a little, evaluate what's a need and what's a nice to have. There's no one on the table. There's nothing going across zoning saying they're going to put any kind of apartment building. Is a potential somebody circling around to put the apartment buildings up. I'm sorry, but we could say that they're not doing that as well. The flip side is no one's circling around. Does anyone else on the council like to comment? Is there someone on the phone?
Yes, there's still someone here.
Okay.
Would you like them?
Yes, please.
Excuse me.
Hello, William Ferrara from 2556 Cleveland Avenue. I'm calling tonight. I wanted to call about something not related to 450. So I want to talk about the change orders. So I just want to review it very quickly. June 20th, the auditor issues his report, makes a recommendation under general comments that change orders modifying original contracts were not approved in the official minutes and they should be moved to the town council. Second recommendation, all change orders modifying original contract award be approved by the town council and included in the official minutes. On July 11th, the town council passes resolution number 286. And where it says, amongst all the other whereases in here, the members of the governing body have personally reviewed as a minimum the annual report of audit, and specifically the section of the annual audit entitled Comments and Recommendations, as evidenced by the group affidavit form of the governing body attached here too. And everybody signed that. On, I believe it's August 15th, you get resolution 22306. A response, which is the audit corrective action plan, says audit comment number 7 is all change orders modifying the original contract. That was the comment. The corrective action, the CFO will make sure that any change orders received will be given to the council for approval. Township clerk has sent out emails to engineering contacts reminding them to send any change orders to the clerk's office. An implementation date is immediate and ongoing. Well, okay, so none of that happened. Okay, I don't know why you all signed that. Maybe you read it and forgot about it. I don't know. So the next thing that happens is Mr. Carlo puts change order number 12 for the firehouse on it, and then Mr. Ullman asks the question, what happened to the first 11? The next thing you do, you spend December's meetings spending a good portion of your time changing the change orders so that you can get them all approved and not get another audit comment. So I'm going to make a suggestion, and this would bind this council and every other council in the future, that you adopt an ordinance that requires, as part of the annual audit, that the auditor comes into a public meeting, sits down with the council and mayor and the residents, and goes through all of his recommendations and comments and answers any questions that people had. Now, this is not new in this town. This happened years ago when Mrs. Doe was the CFO. For years, the auditor came in, they went through the comments, they answered questions and so forth. And it stopped because of COVID, and it didn't get started and hasn't been started again. So I'm suggesting that be codified as part of an ordinance that it be done. The second part of that ordinance would be that monthly, after the corrective action plan is put in place and submitted to the state, the administration report on the status of where the corrective actions are so until they're finally completed. That's why on that particular subject. I have a second subject I wanted to talk about. Last month, I believe, when you set the calendar, you discussed June 19th, since it's a Monday and a national holiday, and discussed, I thought that you were going to change it to June 20th. But I spoke at the schedule, and it says it's June 19th. You're going to have a meeting. Now, in the past, you had meetings up until the last 3 years on Martin Luther King's birthday, even though the town offices are all closed in celebration of that holiday or recognition of that person. June 19th became a national holiday, as you all know, I'm sure, 2 or 3 years ago, when it was recognized that the Union Army got to Galveston, Texas, and notified
1 minute, Mr.
the
President.
slaves that they were no longer slaves. This town has a direct connection to slavery in that it has a stop on the Underground Railroad in this town, so free slaves came through this town. I believe that it would be, it's an absolute minimum that this town were to not meet on the holiday recognizing the end of slavery and reschedule the meeting to the 20th. How much time do I have left?
26 seconds.
26 seconds, okay. On the DPW building, I wanted to know, why is there a salt shed in the plan? I think I understood we're having a contract with the Paramus or the county to provide salt. And the second thing is, can you explain or have the architect explain the next time he comes in why the second floor is not a complete floor of the building? And that, I think, will use up my time. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Mr. Farrar, are you still there? I'm sure you're still listening. I think we should change the meeting date to the 20th. I think that's a great recommendation. I do remember, I thought we did talk about that.
We did,
But-
I think it's just a mistake.
All right, we're going to officially move the holiday, move the meeting to the 20th. Because we have to do
I think make a motion to change the official calendar to reflect the change in the meeting date now. Take a vote.
Okay. So I motion to change our scheduled council meeting from June 19th to June 20th in honor of Juneteenth.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Sue, roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President Morgan.
Yes. And thank you for that, Mr. Ferrara.
We had changed Martin Luther King the first year I was on for the next year.
Yeah, we didn't meet, did
We
we?
did the first year I was council president, we did, and then I asked to change it the following year,
Okay.
so then we changed it going forward.
Okay. We probably didn't realize it was even that, that day at that time when we had the meeting. It's probably set already.
I think we did discuss changing June 19th, I know that.
I
just don't
brought it
know.
up.
I know you questioned it, and
I don't know what happened.
Okay. So, and were there other points that anyone wanted to address from
Oh, I
Mr.
know
Ferrara?
why. There's a zoning board meeting on June
Yeah.
20th.
Oh, there is?
Yeah, that's why it didn't get moved.
What about on the 20th?
White
Right,
Road.
I'll have
Then
to- let me look at the
Wednesday-
calendar and I'll
Wednesday's
let you
planning
know.
board then.
Okay. So do I have to redo the vote to just say we're going to
That's
not
fine.
meet on the 19th?
Leave it and then just revote on it again
They
later.
just revote it.
You can revote it. until
Okay,
you find
leave it
a
on the
date.
Now, and then
You
you'll
find a
revote
date.
again.
All right.
You vote on it.
And then were there other points to Mr. Ferrara's, comments?
Yeah, I just have one regarding the salt shed. We do store the bulk of our salt at the county location, but the DPW always needs some on hand during the winter. Just so we have some, God forbid, there's something at the county that they can't pick it up, or, it's a small storm where the county may not even be open. So we do always need a small supply of salt on hand.
Okay. Is there anyone else online?
No.
Anyone that would like to come up? Come on up.
Hi, my
Hi.
name is Nicole Vogel. I live at 877 Ridgewood Boulevard East. For perspective, my house faces the back end of 450 Pascack, so it's not in my backyard, but the front of my home looks at that property. A lot of questions were answered already by the president of the council. I'm going to try not to repeat some stuff that some of my neighbors have already brought up. I do want to say, though, that we were scared, just so you guys can understand. I know, I don't know where you guys live, but on our street, we were scared. This happened probably a few months after I moved in. It was during COVID. My neighbors had told me, they informed me. I did not get a packet, but I have seen the packets that they got. And I moved here. I know there is no plans in town, so I understand what you're saying. There's nothing for anybody to review or to look at because there's nothing here. But just as my perspective, I moved to this town to sort of get away from things like that happening. I grew up in Paramus, over Development Central over there. My mom's neighborhood, all like our neighborhood, ranches, smaller Cape Cod style homes. If you saw it now, you would not believe what these developers built on there. This is where I know it might not happen tomorrow, it might not happen for a few years, and I get that. That's why this is unique property and where it is located and everything. There is no developer that's going to come in and not propose something massive. They're just not. They're not going to keep our neighborhood the way that it is. They're going to want to build something to maximize their pocket. I'm afraid it will fall into the wrong hands then, if you could understand what I'm saying. If it's not that developer, it'll be another developer. They're not looking to build a ranch or a smaller home in our neighborhood. They're just not. So that's with that. Your letter was a little disheartening, just on a personal note. And I just feel like it did kind of call us out because we've been the ones attending the meetings. I couldn't stay for the November one, so I wrote you guys an email. Some of you had answered that email. To not repeat what they said, but 450 Pascack is different and unique. And in comparison, we've talked about the swim club. I know the issues at Seasons, the DPW. I do give you guys a lot of credit because I feel like people do come up and want to voice their strong opinions. They want to say what they don't want you to do, and it's not an easy job that you have. But for us, it's not just our immediate area. It'll be who my daughter goes to school with. It'll affect them too. It's our whole neighborhood, not just our one street or our backyard, number one. Again, swim club, happy about it. Whatever goes there, I'm not saying, but I think it's when you try to compare properties, and I know you're spending a lot of money on other properties, more than half that property backs up to the parkway. Do you know what I mean? So I think there's a difference in this property compared to that. Or their Seasons. Again, not saying I'm for or opposed anything. I'm just saying I know there's residents' backyards there, but there's also commercial space there too. So I just think it's unique what 450 has to offer for the residents in the town and our children. My daughter's not at that school yet, but she will be going to that school. I know my neighbors that live the Sinclairs, they're like, cut through my yard whenever you want to take her to school. Again, that's me personally. I understand that's not for everybody in town, but it's things like that that come to my mind. Again, I don't want to repeat. I know we've talked about there's 3.2 acres, very desirable piece of land. We know what's there. We know where it is. We get that side of it. Just as a possible suggestion, which I know is easier on paper than it would be for you to implement something like this, but if it were to be purchased, if there was a possibility to subdivide, I would say, yes, let's leave a home at the bottom of the street. You know, if there's a nice single-family home in place of the single-family home that's there, totally understandable. I get it. But I don't see a developer doing that, nor do I know if the zoning would particularly do that. I'm not throwing stones, just saying in Bergen County, these properties don't just come up all the time. And I feel like it will fall into the wrong hands, unfortunately, if it's not preserved, at least from behind the house up. So whatever the percentage of the bottom, and then maybe the town can make back a little bit of money when they sell that piece. So, side note, not related to 450. Well, sort of related.
You have 2 seconds.
Our street is very busy. Cars fly down there. I can
You
only
can finish,
imagine
you can
that would be
finish.
impacted by that. Not that it would necessarily cut through. You were given the award tonight. I could only hear it, but for the street safety and stuff, that is a concern on our street. We see it because we live there every day, but I don't know what would be done about that, and I wouldn't want 450 to ever make that worse than it is currently.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Is anyone else that would like to come up?
Good evening, Christopher Tereshko, 473 Jackson Avenue, Township of Washington. Council President Morgan, they stole all my thunder. Independent of them, I've been planning a speech for the last hour. I won't take the time. I do thank you so much for the letter. I thank you for hearing you for the first time in person now, justifying yourself and giving your thoughts. And it's nice to, you don't have to do that, and I appreciate it. But I do disagree, and I'm sorry that so many property issues have come up in your short term, but I do urge you to protect us from the what ifs. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to say I really appreciate you guys not attacking, like really honestly, even though you had you were very passionate. That's definitely come across. I get it, and I definitely feel it. It does not, fall on deaf ears. I appreciate your, the way you're presenting yourself and your voices. And like I said, I really want to stress, I am not for overdevelopment at all. I would like, if I had a wish, if I could say, I would love that property to be developed by another, a larger home, maybe 2 homes, whatever, right there. That's as feasible and as possible as, the idea that someone's going to get a variance and they're going to build all these mass houses and have overdevelopment. It's more likely that, 2 nice sized, maybe whatever, $1 million homes because of the space, who knows, goes up there. Now that doesn't scare you, but that's my scare tactic. We could very well be looking at a piece of property that they put 2 really nice houses on. Right down the block, they did build another on Pascack, just a little bit down. There's a white house that was just built, and it was on a nice piece of property. It wasn't a monstrosity. It looks like a home like any of us live in. A 3-bedroom home, it looks like, the white house on Pascack. So I understand you're scared, and I hear your passion, and I understand that nothing that I say up here is going to make that any different. Just know that, I have to think of everybody in the town, not, in general, everybody, to see how it impacts as a whole. And that's all I have to say on that. Is there anyone else on the council that would like to?
Council President, thank you. I have listened to, I'm not going to say arguments because this is not really an argument. What this is knowledge. We're learning knowledge here. And I too, like Council President, been getting phone calls, and somebody's walking around the neighborhood saying, you better tell your boy to, vote for buying the property, which I don't appreciate. But anyway, let me just share something with the community and the town, since I've looked at the environment in this community. Back in 2017, I warned the community that we have lost 29% of our canopy. Now, the canopy is the trees that cover the homes, the lawns. Today, I was with the state forestry. Since 2017 to today, when I got the word, we have lost 49% of our canopy in Washington Township. The biggest section of our loss is on our side of town going north up into a Gorga place up in there where they seem to have a lodge of canopy left over. We are removing more trees than we are placing. We are creating more health issues within this community. We're not planting the trees we're taking down, and that concerns me. As far as looking at your property, I've looked at it. I gave Mayor Sopkowitz my report about what I saw up there. No vote has been taken. Nobody has came to me and saying, I'm going to put 5 houses and I'm going to put 47 condos. There was a rumor at one time. Some gentleman wanted to put 47 condos from Pascack all the way up to where it pie-shaped, and naturally the fire department said, we can't get in there. You know, it made no sense at that time. So just to let the community know, no vote has been taken. Discussions in private sessions that's where we talk about odds, ends, what should be done, what not should be done. But please, don't call me and tell me you better vote my way, because it doesn't fly that way. It's not needed, because we need to hear what you're saying, and then we need to hear what each council person is wants for that property. And no vote has been taken, even though they saying, well, you two voted for this, but that's just suggestions within our group. All right, so I appreciate everybody coming here tonight, but what scares me is that we are losing a big chunk of our canopy in Washington Township because we are removing more trees than we are placing. And guess what? It's your children that are going to be affected with the heat, with no fresh air, a bigger intersection. So give us some time. I'm not saying give us 10 months, but give us some time to talk about this. And because there is nothing, like Council President Morgan said, nobody has mentioned anything about building 2-story homes, 47 condos, driveways, nothing has been said at this time. So thank you, Council President, for
Thank you.
my 2 cents on this.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that hasn't come up that wants to come up?
I have a minute left. I just didn't answer your question.
I'm sorry, we can't do that because then I'm setting precedents for the meeting, and everyone will keep coming back up. You can definitely email us, and then we can, yes, absolutely.
Questions, it just wasn't answered.
Sure. Is there anyone that hasn't come up that would like to come up? Come on up.
Good evening, Michael Lemkin, 723 Amherst Drive. First of all, I just want to say I strongly agree with everything brought up about 450. I think that the town should buy it. I'm not going to repeat everything they said. I just want to let you know that as a resident that does not live next to 450, I am still strongly in favor of it. I was strongly in favor of buying the swim club. I never thought when you were buying the swim club, the town was actually going to reopen the pool and run a profitable business, but I wanted the town to own the land. I think we could learn a lot from a company like McDonald's. Up until a couple years ago, they were the biggest landowner in our country. Obviously, it was more profitable for them, but they also had all the power. They owned the land. Leaving it up to a zoning board, you're giving away power versus buying it. I would like to live in a world where, we could trust the zoning board that they're going to vote something down. Drive around New Jersey. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, it's not the case. Developers get away with whatever they want because New Jersey is a corrupt state. I wish we lived in that perfect world where we could leave it up to the zoning board and say, hey, we have this, you can't do it. I mean, look what Seasons is trying to do with the 3 houses. I don't know what the status is, but I believe that's residential. And you're going to put up a strip mall. I mean, I don't think you control the zoning board, so I wouldn't leave it up to them. The other reason why I'm here is because I need your help. I came to the council over a year ago talking about issues I had with my driveway and I'm having with Boswell. I've gone 15 months and I'm still at the same place I started 15 months ago. So quick rundown, I don't want to get into all the details. First, John Ukimic delayed my project by 3 months, which cost me over $300 in asphalt, which I could prove using the DOT price that they have on their website. And then after my project, then during the project, it turns out that I know his boss through work, sort of knows boss through work. So he's like, don't worry, I'll take care of you. Friends and family discount. Friends and family discount got me a $1,400 plus or minus dollar bill to do 8 foot of curb, which was more than the contractor to do the 8 foot of curb. I feel bad for everyone in here that doesn't get the friends and family discount. On and off, I've been going with John, talking about it, arguing, discussing the bill. Mr. Tovo was on those emails. Obviously, he is not here. Back in January of last year, Joy Appard, sorry, I don't know her involvement, but she even replied to an email, said, John will get back to you and square it away. Nothing happened. So in October, I did an Oprah request because the work I did came around a roadway permit type deal. So it was similar to Suez opening up our roadway. As soon as I put in the Oprah request, John Ukimic couldn't call me fast enough. And all of a sudden, well, I agree, your bill's too high. What number do you want? Just like that. All right. So at this point, he, not me, John Ukimic put Mr. DeCarlo on the email so he could tell you. He said, all right, he called me. We came up with a number based on my Oprah request. Well, then the town called me, said, hey, you spoke to John Ukimic. Do you still want your Oprah request? I said, yes. And what I found is I had to pay $1,400 for what Suez paid $86. So I'm like, that's a problem. John basically agreed. And here I am. I'll get back to you with updated invoice, whatever. Nothing. I'm tired of emailing him. I want my money back. I want it with interest. I could have taken the $1,400, put in an I-bond, and made $100 in this time frame. I also have concerns about what are other people's bills. Someone in town told me they've been waiting on money from the town engineer since 2019, but they are scared to come and say anything because they are planning renovations to their house and they don't want to get treated differently when they get there. 2019, that's a problem. And that's not the only people. I've heard from a lot of other people that have this issue.
54 seconds left.
I mean, there's a lot more detail. I just don't want to get into it as much, but I just want my money. The other thing is I spent hours reviewing our E-code, going through everything to develop arguments against John. He's not following the E-code 100%. Either we follow it or we don't. Honestly, I don't care which one you choose, but if you have something in there, we should follow it. It was a minor thing, but it's still, I've called him. I've heard from him, oh, I'm really busy. I'm also the Paramus engineer or other towns. Okay, that doesn't bother me. If your firm is doing a job, you have to have the capability. During the summer, this council asked the mayor a couple times for plans, drawings, whatever. And I heard the mayor say, Boswell's people are on vacation. They can't get it. Well, I wish I could have come before the last meeting where you guys voted. I would have recommended to not vote yes on Boswell, but nonetheless, here we are. So I don't know who at this point could help me. I don't know who has oversight over this. But please, can we get this done? I really just want my money and to not deal with this guy anymore.
Sir, I'm sorry, Council President. Sir, can I just have your last name and your address again?
Lemken, Lemken, 723 Amherst Drive. You were on the emails from early November where, in fact, there's an email where a month later, I'm like, what's the status? And he goes to me, yeah, Mike, I remember we talked and we came to an agreement, but I didn't write anything down. What did I say? I mean, I'm sorry, but that's just incompetence at this point. I wish it didn't come to me having to come here like this, but obviously the emails with him wasn't working. So here we are. So please help. I think that's all I have.
Can you
and
forward me the emails?
No problem. And go Giants.
Mr. DeCarlo, so you're
That's
gonna
cool.
reach out to, you're gonna try to take this and fix it?
Yes, I'll reach out to the gentleman this week.
That's true.
Okay, thank you.
That's true. That's true.
Doesn't happen too often.
The odds are in their favor.
Thank you.
The odds are in their favor.
Sure.
I don't know your specific case offhand, but you did touch on something. I want to let everyone who can hear my voice, if you think you are owed money for that long, please let myself or the administrator know, no retaliation will be taken against you. That will not be tolerated. If that thought is out in the public, I want to dispel it right now. Our employees are not like that, nor would I ever tolerate it. And so please, we need to hear if other residents are having issues with escrow accounts or anything like that. I appreciate you coming and telling us your story. Like I said, it's the first I'm hearing of it, but please, to any resident who can hear me, please reach out to us. We don't necessarily know what's going on at that level in every department, so please bring it to our attention.
Mr. Lumpkin, maybe you can CC the mayor on the emails as well, so he's fully aware.
Send it to all of you.
That'd be great.
Actually, the meetings didn't send it to all of you, then I figured it'd be better just to comment. I have 2 little kids at home, so
Thank you.
making it here is not the easiest thing ever.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to come up?
Good evening. Mike Agnello, 667 Maeston Street, Township of Washington. Just quick, I won't even take up 5 minutes tonight. I was wondering if anybody had gotten back to me on the zombie request. I asked you, somebody would look into the 3 homes on 660, 682 Pascack Road, because now they're encroaching Pascack Road. They're condemned, they're inhabitable. What is the town going to do with these buildings? Are they going to be coming down? I think the residents of Washington Township need to know, because as people say, a shopping center would be better than what we have. But if we clean up the mess down there, a shopping center wouldn't be better than what we have. So I was wondering if you have an answer on that. I had asked that last month. And my second question is, if somebody could look into for me, I have a plot plan with a survey of my property, which came with my deed when I bought my home, which shows an easement through the back of my property for water runoff into, Sligo Lake. And this past summer, they built a new, in the roadway of Pascack Road, they put a new bridge in there for water to run. But I had a survey too to confirm, and according to my surveyor, I no longer have an easement going through the back of my property. There's no longer a waterway. So I just want to know where it went. And if it's gone, does that mean I can now fill in my backyard? Because my surveyor said there is no waterway. So if there's no waterway, can I level my property? Because I don't want to take a chance of flooding my neighbors if that happens. So if somebody in the town could just get back to me and let me know, is there a waterway or isn't there a waterway? Because there isn't. I'd like to fill my backyard.
Mr. DiCarlo, who does he contact to get that information?
Hi, Mr. Agnello. The first part of it, I am working with it, working on that zombie house issue with, I've actually spoken to Mr. Poller about it and our code enforcement officer. We don't have it resolved as of yet, but we are working on it.
Are we going to get out there? Because the first home, 660, I think is 4 feet off Pascack Road. It's dangerous. If a car loses control and hits the curb, it's going to go into the house. There is no setback there. And the setback for that zoning is 50 feet.
Yep.
It's 46 feet short.
As far as your second concern, as I spoke to you earlier in the meeting, I will make an appointment with you with our engineer, and we'll discuss those.
For the
other
purpose of
issues.
that easement?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And the other concerns that you had, that you
Okay.
brought up the other meeting.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
I'd also
Mr.
like to know
DiCarlo.
where the
Thank you.
waterway- Where did the waterway go? The waterway just doesn't up and move. I mean, honestly, like what happened to the waterway? Who filed the paperwork? That's a big concern because the waterway was there on Monday and it wasn't there on Tuesday. Where'd it go? I don't know. That's why I'm asking. I mean, honest to God. I want to know too, because I mean, that is true. I mean, I know the waterway that.
I couldn't touch that
Right.
waterway, but now my new surveyor says there is no waterway.
So that's, how did that happen?
Now I can touch it, right?
Yeah.
No,
Well, no,
don't touch it yet
but-
till we find
But
out.
the question is, absolutely, the waterway was there, and I know the waterway you're talking about because I look at it, and it's not necessarily small. It's not like this little 2-bit stream that a penny would flow down. It's actually pretty wide and has water that flows through it. So where did it go? And is that what's causing some of the other issues in that area now? And then what happened to it?
There's a 10-foot easement. There's
Yeah.
no longer.
It's on the map.
No, it's not on that.
Not now, but if you look at the old maps, it was on.
Somebody redo the map while we're sleeping.
So I agree with you. Yeah. You
Is there anyone else that would like to come up? Come on.
Thank you.
He's got an eraser.
Yeah.
Good evening. Michael Ullman, 2 Clark Avenue. I just wanted to follow up on a question I had regarding change order number 5 for the emergency service building, and if it included extending the sheet steel retaining wall on the north border further west. So we've now taken down the firehouse. The wall is exposed. They were doing work today, and I just want to know, are they putting sheet steel, or what's the retention going to be?
Okay. You want that answered before you move on?
No.
Okay.
Thank you, though.
No problem.
I had a question. Who in the township reviews and approves the application and certification for payment related to the emergency service building? Specifically, application number 24, where the work from the prior application exceeds the scheduled value. So it would appear that we are paying in excess of what we were contracted. It's a minor amount in the scheme of things, but the numbers don't add up. So the state doesn't have the formula right. The architect doesn't have it. Someone doesn't have it right, but it doesn't work. And we're making payments on it. And I was just wondering why we are. And it is line number 43, railing labor, where there's a scheduled value and have work completed in excess of that. I didn't think that's how the formula worked or the schedule worked. Just a follow-up on Mr. Sears and ordinance 2301, which you're considering this evening. Who is going to be responsible for the ordinance? Who's going to be monitoring the replanting? Because this goes back to boards that I sat on where we made developers or homeowners commit to replanting. And as far as I know, there was not a mechanism, at least when I was on those boards, to follow up and ensure that they were done. So what is going to be that mechanism? And do we have that mechanism in place? And for section D, why are we only considering 1, 2, and 3 and not 4? So we're going to talk about putting trees in place, replacing them in place on the property or on the development site. There's a 4th component, which is on township property near the site, but section D only talks to 1, 2, and 3. Just wondering why that is. 23-41, the municipal architect. Can you tell me how much the contract is for? Do they have a contracted amount for that? And 23-143, the architect on the DPW project, is there a contracted amount agreed, and what does that cover? Because Mr. Conley's total fee was, for the emergency service building, was quite significant, and just wondering what that amount is at this point, and do we know what aspects or components of the redevelopment it encompasses?
1 minute left, Mr. Ullman.
Okay.
I'm finished.
You have more?
Nope.
Oh. Is there anyone that would like to take some of those questions?
Let me take one.
Okay. Which one are you taking?
I'm going to take 1, 2, and 3, the question about the ordinance.
Okay.
Not your questions, 1, 2, and 3. You talked about the zoning or the ordinance 2301Y. 4 wasn't included, only 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
Because the purpose of 4 is you don't know where the trees are going to go. That's why the money is put up for the trees. In other words, there's no designation. The other place, all the others, 1, 2, and 3, they're specific designations. In the location where the trees are removed, the planning board takes care of that, or zoning board. Within the building lot containing the removed trees, that's there. It's under their jurisdiction. They can designate it. within the development site approved by the planning board or within the public right-of-way fronting or bounding the site. Again, that's before the planning board or the zoning board. So the 4 is the somewhere in the town, and that's why the money is for that. Okay, so it says if the location of trees to be replanted and not designated by the planning board or zoning board of adjustment under subsections 1, 2, or 3 above, or if the required number of trees cannot be replanted, then there shall be deposited into a tree replacement fund account maintained by the township the sum of $350 for each tree as required by the planning board and zoning board to be utilized for the purchase and planting of trees pursuant to subsection 4 above.
So,
Because 1, 2, and 3 can be done.
so when I read number 4, you're defining it, so can't you pick where they go? You defined it as on public property near the site, so wouldn't the board be doing that?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
So not necessarily,
Not
but they
necessarily.
could do that.
But they not necessarily. The bottom line is that the money goes into the trust fund, and maybe the council will say, we have a project at the swim club, and the money could be used for trees to be replanted there.
But then,
So
We do, if I may, Council President?
Yes, of course, yeah.
Not to interrupt. We do have a list of parks that need trees.
okay,
That is actually on the web, where the planning board and zoning board know that there is certain parks in town that we need to put multiple trees on that came down over previous storms. So that's on that list.
so it doesn't have to be near the site then?
No.
But
No, we
number
lost a
4,
lot of trees with East Ice, and then the storm before that, we lost a ton of trees.
but
So we
number
have-
4
we have-
says it has to be.
Well, it says, but it's, well, okay. That's,
No, so-
I understand. Wait a second. I understand. I'm going to get to that. One second.
Okay.
So, and I think it's a good point, because that was the wording that was there before. But because it may not be quite as near to the site as what near might be, I think it's a good point. So I think that should come out. So elsewhere in the township, within public property is fine, but as near as possible to building lot of development site where the trees are removed. I think we could end it by elsewhere in the township within public property. I think that's a good point.
Thank you, Mr. Paul.
Good point.
Credit, where credit is due. All right.
So, yeah, we can, because that's not a major, that's not a major change, so I think that's a good point.
Okay. So that was the one you were covering?
Thank you, Mr. Rowley.
So unfortunately, we can keep answering your questions, but your 5 minutes, but we will keep answering them. He also had asked about who reviews the payment for the EMS building, paying in excess of what we were contracted. Does anyone have an answer for that? Who reviews that?
Doesn't the council also review it too?
Who reviews that, Mr. DeCarlo?
A general answer to his question would be the architect. The architect reviews it and then provides that information to me.
Okay.
Then provided to purchasing. I don't have a specific answer to that particular line Mr. Ullman was discussing.
Line 43?
Yes.
Okay. But we can get him potentially?
I imagine we can.
Okay. And then the question was asked about municipal architect contracted amount. I don't know. Do we
I think
have
the
that?
mayor had something to add to.
Yeah, if I may, I just want to piggyback onto that it is an official form that the contractor has to sign off that they have done the work, and then the architect is the check and balance to make sure they've done the work. So it is a very official form that people are certifying that the work was done and goods or services were provided also.
Got that? Mr. Ullman, that was your answer. Did you know that? He was answering you. Oh, okay. Okay. No, I appreciate it, but I wasn't sure if you knew that that was for you. Okay, and then the municipal architect contracted amount. Your question was, what was the contracted amount? I don't have that information. I'm not sure.
I'm just looking through the documents and
It
there's some,
says excess of,
oh,
it says. So I don't know that answer, but I will find out for you.
Council President, can I just respond to Mr.
Sure,
Ullman's first?
absolutely.
Mr. Ullman, you might not have remembered, I'm pretty certain I had responded to that question about the sheeting behind the emergency
Yes.
service building in December. I'm fine with, telling you again. I had spoken to the architect, and it is not due for more metal sheathing. There actually was an on-site meeting this morning between the engineering firm and the the contractors there, to discuss the transition from the metal sheeting to the block retaining.
I do recall, because you'd sent me a copy of the correspondence
Yes,
with him.
thank you.
Yes, okay, I remember that. I just thought potentially he was talking about another area of I wasn't sure. You're talking about the same one? Okay, did you get Mr. DiCarlo's email from, I think he answered it, it was in December.
Wasn't an email, Mr. Ullman. You had brought it up again at the podium.
Oh, okay, so what you emailed me was just your response to him?
Yes.
And okay, perfect, okay. All right, is there anyone else that would like to come up before we close?
Desiree, I do have one other answer in looking through the document.
Okay.
The architect's proposed compensation in the AIA document on page 12, his total basic compensation for the project, $195,000.
Okay.
There's also a schedule on there for overages of usage for anything in excess of that. So again, page 11, page 12 documents all those particular rates for principal architect, project manager, staff, draft persons, and they also break it down by stages. They have a design stage or design phase, construction documents, bidding phase, and the construction phase are all broken down there, Mike. So if you want to look at that, that's on page 12. So basically 11 and 12 tells you the compensation that the architect will be getting. Okay? You can need that, I can email it to you.
Thank you. Moving forward to, I have asked Mr. DiCarlo to be part of to give a report. I want to just acknowledge that, Mr. DiCarlo, you've done a really great job. You always let us know, and there's a piece of paper where he's updated all resident questions, emails. He really does keep us updated on the follow-up that he does with any questions that a resident either reaches out via email, at the podium, phone calls. He does answer them, follows up, and then sends it to us. So I think that sometimes the questions, we know they get answered, but they don't, it doesn't get articulated out that these questions have been answered. So they're sort of left hanging. I have asked Mr. DiCarlo moving forward
Could you
to,
turn off the cell phone, please, whoever's getting dinged?
okay.
Somebody's cell phone is going off constantly.
Okay, so I've asked Mr. DiCarlo to start giving updates. So you'll hear a lot of the questions maybe that you've asked in the prior meeting, or someone else may have asked that you were, expecting an answer to. He does a really great job of following up. So moving forward, the next meetings, we'll do that every meeting, and I appreciate that. Just want to acknowledge that. So there's some answers here to some questions that were from last week. The last meeting regarding damaged sidewalks and lights on the front walkway, all of that stuff. So I think if you're doing the work, you might as well get the credit for it. Is there anyone else that would like to come up? Come on up.
There's one hand up also.
In there? Okay. Hold on a minute. 1 second. WCTV is telling me something.
Ready?
1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, he's telling me about the hand raised.
Nice.
Hi, so I'm Carrie Orby, 869 Ridgewood Boulevard East. I live across the street from the Sinclairs, right next door to Nicole. And I'm not going to beat a dead horse over 450 Pascack Road, but, I grew up Miss Velez's husband, Councilman Velez's husband, and I grew up in the same area in Hudson County, and it was pretty overdeveloped. And the reason why I moved to Bergen County was to have some grass, some land, and the fact that now it's being considered like the trees across the street and some of that's all that going to be taken away. It's pretty sad, and it's not why I moved to Washington Township 20 years ago. So I just want to reiterate that if anything can be done for 450, greatly appreciated. It doesn't directly impact me from my house only, but it impacts my neighbors. And Council President Morgan said, we leave it in the hands of the zoning board, but a lot of us are not confident in the zoning board. I know it's out of your guys' hands, but there's a lack of trust there, just from what we've seen. And I know there's a lot of overdevelopment happening in Washington Township, more than I have seen in the last 20 years that I've been here, which, is good for us because we're growing, which is good. But I just feel like we need to sort of get back to our roots a little bit of the reason why we came to this town. A lot of us moved to this town for it. So that's my only comment. I'm not going to beat the dead horse. I have one question that I'm going to read. If the town purchased the land, would they be able to subdivide the bottom portion where a parking lot would be and apply for the grant money for the balance of the premise of open space? If so, the grant should hopefully pay for a large portion of the property. So that's my one and only question, but I also have another comment for Mr. Sears. As Nicole said, we're happy about that Safe Street Act, but I don't think they went on Bridgewood Boulevard East when they were giving us that award, because that street, we've asked, I think, a couple of years, they put a slow down or even a speed bump. A lot of my kids are older already, but yeah, we asked for that for many, and people just fly down, especially with what's going on Washington, that the detour is by our house, and it's just nonstop traffic, and they're flying like 40, 50 miles an hour. And I know I've seen it on Jackson, because Jackson is another problem that people just fly down, and I see the signs that we're put, and I'm happy about that. But I think Ridgewood Boulevard East should be recognized, or should be looked at for a speed bump. But that's all I had, and I'm probably had. So I'm not sure. I'll stay up here if you guys want to answer that question.
What was the question?
About the,
They will put a speed bump in the roads.
No, but you can request that the police department keep an eye out to see, especially if there's traffic, you can make a
Was that the
request to the
question?
mayor and
No,
the
the first
administrator.
question.
Yeah, can you repeat the first
Okay.
I
question?
know, but I'm sorry,
Well,
I was just answering the last question, if that's
Okay.
okay. So you can make a request to the mayor administrator to talk to the police to say, we've noticed a significant amount of traffic and they're driving rather quickly. Could you maybe keep an eye out and see if we could slow them down?
Okay, so the mayor, I can ask you? I'll send you an email.
You just did.
Okay, so that's good. Okay, and the question was, if the town purchased the land, would they be able to subdivide the bottom portion where a parking lot would be and apply for grant money for the balance of the premise, on the premise of open space?
I don't know, there's a lot of possibilities, I don't know.
I can't give you a definitive answer, but I'll give you a probably.
Okay.
Okay, because once the town owns it, it can subdivide property, so that's certainly something they can do. Whether it can get a grant or not, I mean, you can certainly apply for a grant. There are grants out there, but I can't comment on availability of grants or, things of that nature. But
Okay.
the town could subdivide if it bought the property.
Well, thank you for your time, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Desiree, can I follow up on Ken's comment?
Sure.
Thanks. I'm not so sure, because I don't know how the sequence of things would work. If the town has to buy it to subdivide it, I don't know that we can apply for the grant once we already own it. So it's something we will look into with the grant writer, but that does concern me, is we would have to buy it so we could subdivide it. Now we would be asking for a grant to buy a property we already own, but we'll research it.
Desiree?
Yeah.
Just in regard to the traffic pattern now on your streets going from Jackson down to Pascack, hopefully that's temporary once the construction is finished with the intersection of Washington and Pascack, but I travel that way. because there's no other way to go, unfortunately. And I see it in my house. I live right on Ridgewood Road, and people are just traveling way too fast with their cars. We're all guilty of it at one time or another. So I would just remind everyone that's watching to just slow down a little bit. There's no place in Bergen County you have to rush to. It's going to be there tomorrow. It's going to be there the next 10 years. So please, everyone slow down. We don't need any more accidents. We have plenty in Bergen County as it is. So if everyone slow down, I would greatly appreciate it.
Council President, may I
Yes.
make a comment? We met, Mr. DiCarlo, Chief Skinner and myself met, and we looked at certain streets. And that we came up with an idea that we were placing those slow down signs in the middle of the streets.
Yes.
So we established some on Colonial,
Yes.
Beach, a couple other streets. I will talk to Chief Skinner, which I'm telling you right now, it actually makes a difference, you know? I mean, you're always going to have the person that is blind, you know? But I'm pretty sure Chief Skinner is listening, and maybe I'll give him a call tomorrow to see if we can get some of those slow down signs placed up there. Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask that just now. They just appeared. I'm on Colonial, and they're there, and you know, it's a long stretch. I'm guilty myself of feeling myself accelerate, and then I remember. But that slow down sign is literally, I don't know if anyone has seen it. If you've driven down Colonial, it's just on one small stretch. It's really does make you slow down because you're like, oh my God, I'm going to hit it. So it's great.
That was a plan that Mark, myself, and Chief Skinner came up with to put out in the streets.
Okay. If it's regarding that, you can email unless you had.
I just wanted to say, it's more on the downhill.
Oh, it's on the downhill. Oh, right. Okay. So that's not gonna. I don't know how it stands.
Put them in.
Oh, a sign. Yes, but you can't put what we're talking about. You can't put that there. It's on the hill.
Well, you can put
Doesn't matter. Put it in the street.
All right. We'll leave it to the experts too. They'll know what to do.
You can put it in the street.
But I love that. That's the first time I've seen it. It's on Colonial. Is there anyone else that would like to come up? There's someone's hand is raised.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening. It's Julianne Lipnick, 184 Affinity Place.
Hello, Mrs. Lipnick.
Hello, all. Happy New Year to all of you. It's my first meeting of the new year. I have couple of questions. One is regarding the Affinity Place side of the shopping center. In about 6 weeks, the landscapers are going to be back out on the street. The last we spoke, the ordinance was going to be changed to include no standing as well as no parking. The street sign was going to be changed and the curb was going to be painted. So I was calling to find out, first of all, if that's been addressed and when will that happen. My other is a note of congratulations. I understand we have a brand new construction official, and as a former technical assistant, I wish him well, and I want to welcome him to the township. I know he was hired as a part-time construction official, but can you please clarify his hours of operation? I know the last one was there about an hour a day. And last but not least, it's probably about a year ago, we spoke about legacy books, and Councilwoman Velez, you were then handling it. I wonder where that stood. I have boxes of books in my basement, and I'd like to know if we're going forward with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so the signs and the painting of the sidewalk, do you know where we are with that? Mr. DiCarlo or Mr. Mayor? Because I do remember we had discussed that.
It's been a while since we've spoken about it, so we will follow up with DPW to make sure that they have these things ready to go.
Okay. And then construction officials' hours?
That's Darius McCoy. He works 10 hours a week. He roughly does 2 hours every afternoon.
Okay. And then the
Legacy.
legacy.
Sorry, I'm kind of losing my voice. Mrs. Lipnick, thank you for calling in. So we are still I'm still highly in communication with Legacy Books. Matt has been very patient with us. We have been trying to find a spot for quite some time. We came very close to a location, and as I communicated to you, unfortunately, it became an insurance thing. It got lost in the paperwork. And unfortunately, Legacy Books could not fulfill the insurance request because they are a small company, as you know. So the mayor and I have been speaking and trying to find a suitable location, which the last time we had a meeting a couple weeks ago, right before the holidays, I think we may have found a location. Ideally, I would like it here at Town Hall, but with the construction of the future DPW, I feel like it'll just be moved from one spot to another. And I think it's a very successful endeavor. I think it will be a successful endeavor. Just like yourself, I've got a ton of books I'd love to donate. So it is still full in motion. Matt and I have, he actually called me just last week. So I told him, please have patience. We are definitely working towards this. So as soon as I have an answer, you'll be the first one I call, second to the mayor, of course. So please, I'm working on it. One thing that I've learned is government is slow. So we're doing our best, but it is definitely going to happen. But I'm seeing it through. So thank you, Mrs. Lipnick, for your patience.
Thank you.
Council President, and I don't know if anybody else is going to speak. I kind of, if it's okay, I wanted to follow up with Mrs. Sinclair, her question. I'm not sure if we could allow her to ask her last question now that we have her here. I know she
We could
had
make a
one.
motion. I'll make a motion to suspend the rules. Somebody wants to second it?
I have to, it was two, it was in regards to the board.
I know you can't
But I don't
speak.
So actually, we're gonna, you can email and we'll give you the answer.
But I made
Yeah,
a motion
thank
to
you.
suspend the rules.
Right, but I'm gonna say no, we're not gonna suspend. We're not
We
gonna do that
actually
right now.
can't do that. It either needs to be seconded or it dies. So if someone wants,
She's right.
Okay,
That's correct.
okay.
So I'll second it.
So roll call.
Councilman Casio,
No.
Councilwoman Feeney,
yes.
Councilman Sears,
No.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President Morgan.
No. Okay,
That's
so we'll
disappointing.
definitely email the question. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Okay. Okay, so is there anyone else who would like to come up? Who hasn't come up? Anyone on? No, okay. So motion to close public comment?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Do you need a minute or you're good?
I'm good now.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Let's make a deal.
Ordinance number 23-01, an ordinance establishing the cost of tree replacement arising from approved developments within the Township of Washington. Motion to introduce and pass. Ordinance number 23-01 at first reading by title.
So moved.
So moved with, I'm sorry. Seconded with the changes
Okay,
that,
yeah, is this the first?
reading.
First reading.
Okay.
We'll talk tomorrow and.
Yeah, so I think that, let's just make it of record that what's gonna be changed is, paragraph 4, which actually was the original paragraph, so I didn't really change that originally, but I think it's a good change. So it's going to read elsewhere in the township within the public property, period.
Okay.
okay.
All right, and the nearest as possible to the development is going to be taken out.
Okay.
Okay. So with that change, that's how you're going to be introducing, that's how what you're going to be voting on, okay?
Okay. Everyone understands that? Yes?
Yep.
Okay. So motion to introduce?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Sue, roll call.
All right, Ken, question?
Yeah.
So they motioned, they second, you made the change. Are we going to motion, do we need to motion and second again?
No,
No.
we made the change.
So we could just do the
It's
roll
not,
call
it's not,
then?
it's not a motion of the change. They're making the change and now they're doing
And
the
then we
motion.
should do a roll call?
Now they're doing the introduction as we've just changed it. This is the first reading, right?
Right.
Right, so we're gonna do
So
motion.
now it's as if we now are presenting this ordinance. This is the first reading. This is the motion on the first reading.
All right, so the first motion didn't count then.
What?
They motioned and second, then you said the change, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Do we need just a roll call
Okay.
at this point? That's what I was just clarifying to make sure I get it right.
Okay, so.
Start from the top.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
start over.
let's withdraw that motion.
Okay,
And let's make a new motion on the ordinance as I've
right, just read.
recited it.
So motion to introduce and pass ordinance number 23-01 as just read at first reading by title. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Sue,
Thank
roll
you,
call.
appreciate that.
No problem.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President Morgan.
Yes. Resolution number 23-136, authorizing publication of ordinance number 23-01 and scheduled public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Sue, roll call, please.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President Morgan.
Yes. The following items have been determined to have the unanimous consent of the council and will be enacted in one motion. Should
Excuse
any,
me, I'm sorry, Council President Morgan, may I interrupt?
yes,
Sorry about that. I couldn't think of a better time to interrupt you, but I just need to point something out on the consent agenda.
okay,
Resolution 23-147
okay,
and 23-148 as it pertains to NJDCA local recreation improvement grants. And this is my fault for not realizing this sooner. The council needs to approve one of those rather than both of them. So we need to submit one for the grant with the deadline of January 20th.
but they're for two different things we do.
Right, so the administration's recommendation, our first priority is to recommend for the swim club. However, I understand that, there's still, I guess, the necessity to vote on whether the grant is going to be accepted for the open space.
Have we gotten the grant yet? Have we gotten notification that we've received the money?
We have received the contract. It was sent to Ken Pollard to review. I'm going to be preparing the resolution for the next meeting, which I think is February 6th. Unfortunately, the deadline for the grant we're requesting this evening is tomorrow, January 20th,
Okay,
Friday.
so you're
So-
asking for the 36.5 then on
Well,
the Sherry Field?
No, the 68.3 is the swim club. The 36.5.
yes, our primary ask is for the 68.3 for the swim club. However, if that was voted down because of not knowing if we're going to take the grant, we wanted to make sure we had a secondary ask for Sherry
I'm not
Field.
worried about it.
Okay,
I'm a meeting.
Should be fine.
That's what they tell me.
You should probably pull both of those
Yeah.
off the consent and
Yeah.
talk
I will.
about them.
okay,
Council President, we also pull 146, please,
yes.
For separate.
So this one
for
here,
a separate vote.
All right, so do
I have to ask you a question.
147, 48.
146, he has to, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so the following items have been determined to have unanimous consent of council will be enacted in one.
Sorry.
No, I was going to pull one when you get a chance.
Oh, you want to pull?
Yeah, I
Okay.
just want explanation on 138
Okay,
and 140.
okay, so while we're doing this, let's go around the room. Councilwoman Feeney, do you want any pulled?
Yeah, I need to have the bills pulled.
What, 137?
Yeah, I just need a separate vote on it. It's fine.
Okay, Councilwoman Velez, do you need any of the resolutions pulled?
152.
Okay. And then, Mr. Sears and Council Vice President Casio, you already pulled yours, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, so,
Let's go down in order.
so the following items have been determined to have unanimous consent of council will be enacted in one motion. Resolution number 23-139. Resolution number 23-140. Resolution number 23-141. Resolution number 23-142. Resolution number 23-143. Resolution number 23-144. Resolution number 23-145. Resolution number 23-149. Resolution number 23-150. Resolution number 23-151. And resolution number 22-153. Motion to, right? We can motion, okay, motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay,
Okay.
should we say all in favor or roll call? on this one?
Take a roll call.
Roll call. Do you want a drink?
Do you want a cough drop?
I have one.
Okay.
Oh, Sharon, just-
So roll call, please.
Scotch?
It's not COVID problem.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President Morgan.
Yes. Okay. Okay. We're looking at which ones?
138.
Resolution number 23-137.
Any motion?
Yeah, motion.
So moved.
Okay.
Second?
A second.
Okay. Discussion?
Lisa, do you want to-
No, I just need a separate vote.
Oh,
That's all. No, sorry, no discussion.
okay. So roll call?
Sorry about that. Okay, Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney.
I recuse myself.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President Morgan.
Yes. Okay. Resolution number 23-138. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, can you tell me what the revision is, Mr. DiCarlo?
I'm sorry, sir, I couldn't hear
Can
you.
you tell me what the revision is for?
Yeah, I prepped the subject in my January 9th response to council. Mistakenly, when preparing the temporary budget that was passed on January 3rd, we omitted the two Chapter 159s, which council approved in 2022. The one, Chapter 159, was for the Municipal Alliance DMHS grant. The other, Chapter 159, was to put additional money into the ARPA, the current budget ARPA, for the stormwater and for the CCTV fiber. It was a mistake of about $5,000, so we just revised the resolution for a temporary budget.
Okay.
As you also see, we supplied you the Excel spreadsheet, which I was very thankful that you gave us a temporary budget on January 3rd without the Excel spreadsheet. So hopefully that didn't cause any confusion, but that's what that was. Those were not expenses. Those were just amounts that were put into each line.
Okay, I'm good with it.
Okay,
You
so
can
roll
vote
call.
for it.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President Morgan.
Yes. Okay, resolution number 23-146, I'll motion.
So moved.
Separate vote time?
Yeah, separate vote.
Okay. So roll call, please.
No discussion?
No, it was just a separate vote, because he confused himself.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Recuse myself from voting.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President Morgan.
Yes. Resolution number 23-147. I'll motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion?
Well, there are two grants that we have to vote on. You have to pick one or the other. Is that how it is? Can you explain the difference between the two grants? Are they open space grants or are they?
Our grant writers here.
Yeah, I would love for him to
Can
explain
we
it.
have you explain that? Yes, come on up, please.
The moment you've been waiting for.
David Buono, GLD Associates. There are, the two resolutions are for the Department of Community Affairs Local Recreation Improvement Grant. We can only submit for one project. There are two projects listed because of the issues concerning going through with the the open space funding. We don't want to miss this opportunity. So if we go with the first one for $68,300. That would be for the initial planning and testing of the areas around the swim club to see what is feasible to be done there. Everything from a phase one on the existing building, survey, stream encroachment, delineation, letter interpretation from DEP, a variety of issues to determine, including topography, which is also important, what has to be done in that site from a realistic standpoint if we go through with the acquisition financing. The second one is if you decide not to go through with the open space grant, to go back to Sherry Field to do similar testing for the flood conditions there. However, the advantage of going to the first program for the swim club is that if you do accept the acquisition financing, there's no matching funds requirement on this grant. However, the fact that we leverage that additional money into that gives more weight to the application in terms of being approved by DCA. So,
Okay, I guess my question is, and this is just on the first one. So we're gonna have to do that work anyway, do the planning, right? The topography surveys anyway, whether we take the grant for whatever it is, 4 and change. So we'd have to do that to the property, correct? Regardless of what you do.
Yeah, you want to know what you can do there, exactly.
Exactly. So whether you take the grant or not, that still has to happen regardless. And that's not contingent on the second, the bigger grant, correct?
That first grant is not contingent on that second grant, right? Or it is?
No.
Neither grant is contingent upon it. It's just that we have a stronger application
Okay,
using the other funding.
okay.
The other advantage of once you make that determination, should you accept the money from Bergen County for that project, if the testing turns out that you cannot, there are issues there, or the design is too unfeasible, you can return the money to Bergen County and remove any restriction that may have been imposed by accepting the acquisition money. I don't know if that's been made clear. You can take the money, take the grant. If your preliminary testing and analysis says that it's not worth it, you give the money back, the restrictions are removed, and you do whatever you want with the property.
That's right, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I'm gonna,
What's the timing on this? So what are they, is there,
He said the 20th, right? He said?
no, to submit, but what's the timing? Have they given you a timeline of when they're going to announce the grant results?
Generally about, because I've done this grant in other municipalities, probably within 120 days, you'll have an answer.
Okay.
It's
And
fast tracked by Governor Murphy. It's a very important program that he started last year.
And you said you worked with this with other municipalities?
I'm sorry?
You used this grant with other municipalities?
Yes.
Okay, so have any other municipalities that you've worked with found issues with the property, right? And then given the money back successfully?
No one's ever given the money back.
They haven't given the money back?
Not in my experience. Any
Okay.
municipalities have done it. Okay. The problem is that I still have to complete this application. There's a lot of work to be done. I've got 2 days to complete it.
Yeah.
But I can't begin it until I know which project you want to do.
Right, so you haven't seen any municipalities give the money back?
No.
Okay, and how long have you been doing this?
Well, it's been about 20 years. But this program is only about 3 years old.
So
I'm sorry, I just want to say, every council member up here is allowed to speak their question, and everybody should respect everybody else speaking up here, so I would appreciate the same courtesy in return, if that's okay. So in your 20 years, have you had experience with other municipalities giving any money back, or no? You've never seen any
I
municipality?
can say specifically, 2 other towns I've done a lot of work in, Garfield and Lyndhurst. Bergen County open space money, whether it's development or acquisition, never gave back a penny.
Okay, thank you.
So I have a question then on this. If we were to go this route and apply for this, and then later on we decide we still don't want the larger grant, the acquisition grant.
You're talking about the acquisition money? Yes, you can give that money back if your preliminary assessments.
No, even if we just decide we don't want that grant, but we wanted to apply for
You
this
can
one.
give back at any time.
Okay,
And the de-restriction would be removed by county council. You would work that out.
and we'd still be fine getting this grant though. That wouldn't impact, right? This smaller grant, the 68,300, there would be no impact.
You're going to have to do that work no matter what.
Right,
And this is an opportunity to defray some of those costs.
okay,
You're not going to start building or doing anything till you know what you're
Correct.
facing,
right, okay.
particularly with the topography and drainage issues there.
Yep, all right. Are we ready to,
Yeah.
any other questions on this one?
No,
Okay, so Sue, may I have a motion?
make a motion, we accept the first grant, the 68,000,
I'll second that.
Well, we're just doing it on 23-147, right?
147.
But you
Yeah.
had a motion and you had a second, you had the discussion, and then you could do the roll call.
I mean, that's what I meant, roll call, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay. Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilwoman Amy,
Yes.
sorry. Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President Morgan.
yes. Resolution number 23-148.
Can't do that one. You want to pick one, right?
You can only pick one.
You gotta
Right, so
pick
we're
one, too.
gonna pull that one off. You can only
Yeah.
choose the one. We're getting
Yes.
rid of that. Okay. And then, I think there's one more. Resolution number 22-152. Authorize renewal of interlocal agreement for street sweeping services by and between the Borough of Paramus and the Township. Yeah, may I have a motion to discuss?
No,
Yeah.
motion second and then discussion.
Yeah,
I'll motion.
Second, okay. Go ahead, discussion. I think you, Daisy, right?
Yeah, just a quick question. I know this came up for discussion last year when Paramus changed some of its agreement. I didn't see in the paperwork how many sweeps we're going to be receiving throughout the year. So I just wanted some clarity on how many sweeps we are guaranteed.
In 2022, the budget line was approved for 18,000, so we were only able to get 3. For 2023, we're going to request an amount for 4. So they roughly are running between that 7,000 and 7,500 mark for the service and then for the dumping of the leaves that are collected.
And we'll only be charged for what actually gets swept, right? So for whatever reason, it snows sooner.
Yes, and we'll only be able to do the amount of street sweepings that the council approves for that budget line.
Okay. All right.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Maybe that's
It's $5,000 to sweep them. So if we approve
Okay,
last year,
so roll
18
call.
grand, you get 3.
Sue?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President Morgan.
Yes.
I also 22, I wrote down 22-140, okay?
I don't have that. Did anyone want 23-140 pulled? I didn't have that one.
I did, but it's okay. We voted on it anyway, so it's done.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't.
It's all right. It's no big deal.
All right.
It's not a big deal.
Okay. So we're gonna move into,
Yeah, what's the motion? Yeah, what's the motion? Going into conference. Yeah, just standing and go to conference. Yes, the motion to.
okay, motion to enter into conference. I don't have that here.
So move.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Who typed these? I did, but I don't know what happened to it.
Okay.
It's been a week, let me tell you. It's been a week. Been a week.
Okay. So we have property tax, we have property tax savings and economic development program.
Yeah, that's what I brought back from the League of Municipalities. I thought it was a good idea maybe to try and implement to offset some of the costs to our taxpayers through merchants in the area. I don't know if the council had a chance to look at it, but it's a no-cost program to us or really anyone, and it gives our most important shareholders and residents some way to reduce their taxes in this time of economic uncertainty. So I don't know what the rest of the council thinks. I'd be happy to work on it and see what we can get going. So let me know what your thoughts are.
I like the idea.
Me too. I mean, if it's a way for them to help offset some of their taxes by spending their money, getting it.
The nice thing about it, it helps local businesses in town and surrounding municipalities. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it may help on some online shopping as well. I'm not really clear on that, but I gotta, really make a call and find out, so.
Great.
Is it like, for lack of a better word, is it like a savings card? It's something you would, when you go to the supermarket, you just scan your card?
Basically, yeah, they accept it, they scan the card and that gets put to gets credited to your taxes and
Well,
let's
it's like a
say
bonus.
it's like a bonus
Like
card.
a-
It's
yeah,
like a
like
credit card. You get mileage for,
Yeah.
flying on Delta or whatever.
Right.
Same
What do they
thing.
call that?
So if you can save
Loyalty card, yeah.
loyalty card, if you can save $20 on your taxes, it's $20 you can buy
That's
maybe
great.
half a pizza or something like that. I don't know.
I think it's great.
Who monitors?
Or maybe some eggs. Get some eggs, get a dozen eggs for whatever.
Who
So,
monitors that? Like, is it a private company that is monitoring that?
I believe so.
I'm just wondering, somebody's making money.
Well, yeah, nothing's
Probably a
free
small
these days,
percent
but
of
I,
everything, maybe.
there's always something somewhere,
That's great, though. I mean,
so.
I think we should look into it for
Okay.
sure.
So then I'm gonna look into it and get more details and I'll bring it back to the next council meeting.
That'd be great.
Okay?
Thank you.
No problem.
Great. Okay, and then appointment of 2 members to the zoning board.
I would like to motion to accept Mike Fusco.
I'll second that.
For 1 full membership or alternate?
Alternate.
Can we discuss that for a second? I just have a question. So part of my lack of experience, but are we able to move an alternate up into regular membership, full membership?
You are, if he wants it or she wants it and you vote for them, yeah.
Have
We did something like that.
We
Yes,
did it
we
for
did.
zoning board previous year.
Yeah.
Have we asked? I mean, 2 year versus 4 year, so just wondering if we've given that opportunity to our alternates. Well, to the one that's staying behind. Is that
So,
something
I
we-
mean, that's a really great idea since we've done that in the past. So I'll motion to move Steve DeCarian into the full permanent position.
How do we know he wants it?
Well, we
Should
could,
we?
Yeah.
well, we've done it in the past without asking actually too. We did it for another zoning board member and
Make a
he,
motion until mine is completed.
I know. I
Yes,
think there's a
that is
motion
true.
still
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
table.
Yes, there is. Is there a second?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have to vote on,
Right, so Councilman Sears, do you still want to leave it as the alternate or you want the regular? What would you like?
How many positions we have open?
2.
yeah,
Two.
1 full-time, 1 alternate.
Let's move him as an alternate right now.
So you're asking for Mr. Fusco to be the alternate and Councilwoman Velez, you second it?
Well, can I call back? Because I think we need to ask if our alternate who's been on the board would like to move into full
I'll
membership.
I'll second it.
But you have 2 alternates.
Yeah.
There's the first alternate and second alternate.
well, isn't
And
one
one
of
is
them
open.
already? Which alternate is up?
There's a second.
No, I know, but which alternate is up
Number
that we're
2.
discussing?
Number 2.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so there's a second, there's a motion
We have a
for
motion and
the
a
alternate
second.
for Mr.
So,
Fusco.
roll call.
There's a second.
Well, can I pull my second?
I second it.
Oh, I'm
She-
sorry.
she-
It's okay.
Well, then you can vote no, and if you vote 3 no's, then you won't have any effect. That's another way of doing it.
I just didn't want to obligate
Yeah.
Mr. Takarian
Right.
to something he may not want.
You're doing it. That's okay.
So let me
You can
just get this
volunteer.
straight. This is a motion for the alternate, Mr. Fusco, for the 2-year term, correct?
So move to Carrion and put Fusco.
That,
No,
that,
no, no.
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 I'm not understanding.
Tom made the
Alternate
motion.
number 1 is Mr. Takarian is alternate number 1, whose term ends the end of this year. Alternate number 2 is open at the 2-year term, and it'll go from this year to the end of 2024.
So,
That make sense?
Mm-hmm.
hmm?
And
Okay.
there's 1 4-year regular member term open.
When the applications came through, did they have to specify which position they were applying to?
Let's see,
They
gotta pull the roll.
didn't see that.
Anybody, I don't think anybody did either. I think it was pretty much open up. They didn't, nobody specified one or the other.
Yeah.
There's a motion in a second.
Yes, there's a motion and a second.
Okay. So it's a roll call now.
You want a roll call?
Yes.
Ready.
What's the motion? I'm sorry.
For Mr. Fusco to be the alternate member. Fill the open slot.
For the open slot,
As alternate.
For the open slot.
as alternate, yes.
And that would be alternate, which one?
2, the one that's open.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President Morgan.
Yes.
Okay.
I like,
So I'm motioning for Steve Takarian to be moved into the full-time position.
I'll second it.
To roll call.
Yep, I'm just taking my
Oh,
notes
okay.
here so I can do.
No worries, no worries.
Councilman Casio,
no.
Councilwoman Feeney,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
No.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President Morgan.
No.
I'll make a motion to put Mr. DeSena for a full-time member, 4 years.
I'll second. To roll call when you have a chance.
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney,
No.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
No.
Council President Morgan.
Yes.
Okay. So we have Mr. DeSena as a regular member, and we have Mr. Fusco as the alternate. I will fill out the paperwork and notify both, and have them come and get sworn in. And let the secretary know. Whatever else has to be done.
Okay. All right. And appointment of Township Auditor. 1-year term. There's only one person. There's only one auditor, yes?
That's all that came in.
Okay, so I'd like to table this until we have more. We need the auditor for when?
You need the order for
Really?
now. I'll make a motion to vote Lurch Vinci in as the applicant.
I'd second.
I just want to table it.
It's, the motion's out.
Okay,
The motion's there.
okay. All right, Sue, roll call.
For Lurch Vinci,
If we're late with the audit, we get a ding, just so you're aware. Our rating goes.
Go ahead. You can do that.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to figure it out, I'm sorry. Councilman Casio,
No.
Councilwoman Feeney,
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
One question, we only received one, is that correct?
Yes.
When we asked for 2?
Well, you put it out there.
I mean, you can
Alright,
wait for more to come in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought
what I
Council
said,
President was asking for. I'm voting no.
Councilwoman Velez
Yes.
and Council President Morgan.
No, I'd like to see more.
Do you want me to re-advertise?
Yes, please.
What's the deadline gonna be?
You guys tell me.
How about February 1st? Because we need to get an auditor in-house.
Why are we in the order now? Isn't it an end-year audit?
Well, they can continue, they have other work that they do also.
So
during the
I'm,
year.
I
So
don't
No, I don't
February
think so.
15th, so give a date.
It's a year audit.
So
So-
provide a date.
so we will provide a date, and let me remind you that I've got the floor right now. Thank you. You have to ask if you'd like to speak. That's not been happening, and it needs to start. Now, what we're looking at, Sue, what do you think?
Council President Moran, if I can ask a question. Would this be moving forward with the audit for 2022 or 2023?
22.
2022.
Because just in discussion, we've encumbered the money for Lurch Vinci to do it for the 2022 audit. I do not know off the top of my head.
I thought it was the following year that the audit is done for. You pick your auditor for the fiscal year 2023. So that audit is really
Yeah,
not
because
done
why would we
until
put
the
this
end
in?
of
I thought we were supposed to ask
2023.
permission. I thought we were supposed to
So
ask
that's
permission.
really how that works.
You need to stop, okay? I'm going to ask you again, please.
But I thought we were supposed to ask permission.
There's
to
a
speak.
conversation between Mr. DeCarlo
So the
and
rules
Council
are
Vice President Cassio.
The rules are
Okay,
different.
thank you.
So Councilman Cassidy, is that how?
I believe
think
that's
we're on
how,
the
I
same-
believe that's how the process works.
So we would still, is it your belief that we'd be using Lurch Vinci for the previous year?
2022.
2022?
They're using 2022 because that's what he was appointed
Okay.
for. Yes,
Perfect.
yes.
Okay,
That's
so this
right.
would be
For
services.
this year, he's auditing the current year.
Right, so there's not a big rush to get this person by February 1st or 15th. So we can wait and see when we have some more applicants after you post it. And we'll follow it up at the next council meeting and see where we are with that.
And what's the deadline going to be? We have to put it in the
I
app.
haven't discussed it yet, which is why I wanted to table it, so.
But if Sue's going to advertise, then we need to put a date in the advertisement and say, please submit by this date.
Sue, does that have to be brought up here?
You should discuss it.
Okay.
You should discuss it.
So let's say by March 1st. So.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So we have nothing in closed. We're not going into closed. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next council meeting will be on February 6th, 2023, beginning at 7:30 PM. Sign all of this.
Well, she's all you'd ever